Good evening, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okun, and I've been speaking on this material for close to over a year. I've been talking about the cost of living crisis. Those who have been watching my channel now should be familiar with my program, which is not exclusively talking about the cost of living crisis. It is also talking about other topics. But right now, I'll be in a position only to concentrate predominantly on the cost of living crisis. This is an extremely important topic for everyone who live in the world, who live in the developed and developing world, in Europe, America, Asia, Africa, you name the continents. If you live in this area, you are a child, you are an adult, you are a mother, you are a father, you're single, you're married, whatever your background as a human being, the cost of living is extremely important, and every member of society should pay close attention to it. Through the cost of living crisis, we learn about our life. We understand how society functions. We learn development. We also learn our culture. We experience the joy of progress. And also understanding how the government operates with policy, politics, looking at what we eat, food, energy, where we live, property. The hospitals, healthcare, the way we live with one another as families, children, adults, in families and in communities. It is an all-rounder. And I'm so privileged to have been actually participating, talking about this. Now, at the current, now I'm taking an opportunity to experiment with voice recording and link this actually interface this with the templates, which actually videos, which will be actually connected to voice recording to illustrate topics I discuss. Thank you so much to everybody who have been subscribing to my channel. Thank you everyone who have been supporting me in different ways, sharing, clicking notification bell, clicking like, and also participating in discussion. Leaving feedback is so important. We are a work in progress, and I'm so delighted that we are doing. We aim to carry on. About subscribing is free. And if somebody says to you, pay for subscription, then they should actually think again, because they will not be telling the truth. It's not paid for, it's free. The services are provided at the YouTube is also free. You gain in certain way. Perhaps you pay in certain ways, but not with money. Definitely not directly. But definitely the subscription is free. It takes seconds. All you have to do is access YouTube, even if you don't have a YouTube app. You just go onto your device, mobile, tablet, whatever you use. You type YouTube and you access the platform. And when you access the platform, you type my name at David Okon, or another content creator, YouTuber you want to support. Then you find where it says subscribe. You just click and you have subscribed. It's important because support a content creator like myself or another content creator. I know people like watching YouTube. Continue watching YouTube is even also a way of supporting as subscribers. It's a way of supporting content creators. But the thing is that it is easier to support by subscribing, but also by watching. anything, clicking notification bell is support. Because you don't lose out on the next posting. And also leaving comment feedback is extremely important because knowledge, no one is a monopoly on knowledge. Everybody has the opportunity to learn something. Today I'll be concentrating on voice recording and linking it with the template I will make later. I'll leave a comment below and let me know what you think. If you have my number, contact me to give me feedback. It doesn't matter what feedback it is, but be as positive and as nice as possible. I've been talking about the cost of living crisis. In talking about the cost of living crisis, I've also said the cost of living crisis is created by income problem. Income includes money and something which is not money. Maybe if you have something which is actually measured in monetary form, something of value which you can measure economically, especially in terms of finance, in terms of money, it is income, but mainly it is money from employment, from self-employment, from investment. If you are an investor, a shareholder, the money you get from your activity is income. But also in the United Kingdom, where I live, and also in the rest of the developed world, and in part also in Africa, you get help from the government. In the United Kingdom, it's called benefit. In different countries, you may understand it differently. But in the UK, if you get child benefit, if you have a child, that is benefit. If you get help with housing, you get grants from the government, that is benefit. Bereavement, if somebody dies. And also, if somebody is pregnant, if even you are working, you might get some benefit from employer you work for. You may get some benefit from people who are actually supplying your gas and electricity or water. All these are types of support by the government. The logic of providing support to people who need it in a country is because of the economic system where the market actually takes responsibility running the economy and the wealth of the nation. Unfortunately, the system of the market economic estate, if I may say so, these type of system exclude certain group of people. And right now, the number of people being excluded from opportunities like employment, like accessing services, even food and energy, housing, healthcare, education, public transport, and all the rest of it. Sometimes you struggle with level of support from the government, say pension, the level of pension, the level of grants for students, student finance, where you pay loans or you take loans or you take grants. The things are also changing. The level of support is a problem, but also there are changes because the government of every country now, somehow, for reasons best known to government, are trying to shut down the public sector. I believe this is wrong because capitalism cannot provide full employment. That means full employment means they cannot employ everybody because private companies are there to make money, and the thing which costs, the element which costs private investors the most is actually employment. So when a small or medium business would like to make profit, the first element to actually reduce or even cut altogether is actually jobs. That's why there are such challenges with jobs. The second situation is the instinct of an investor, of an employer who runs a business, is to pay to give low pay to workers, to employees. because that's how they make profit. That's how they maximize their profit. That's how they provide efficiency. That efficiency means cutting costs. The best way to cut costs is actually to provide low pay. It's a market orientated logic. It is fair in that context, because if they don't do that, they're not going to make profit. If they don't make profit, especially small and medium businesses, they're going to be out of work. Their business is going to shut down, and small and medium businesses are shutting down, especially in a world where there are crises. Crises including the cost of living crisis, incidentally, but also wars such as you see in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, in the Middle East, between Israel and Hamas, in Africa, and other parts of the world where there is a lot of conflict, of war, conflict of different sorts. Sometimes there are actually environmental disasters, caused by nature, like the flooding, like extreme heat or extreme drought, fires being started, burning homes. All these are crises in society which the government literally and also logically is expected to actually intervene. Therefore, there is an intervention in the economy by the state, because life is not perfect. The market is not also perfect. It may be efficient or effective in producing wealth and providing economic growth, but it does not do certain things, such as administering or even managing social justice in terms of wealth, in terms of access to wealth, welfare, and all this. So the government, by logic, actually is expected to intervene until such a time when capitalism matures with technology and all the other things I've been talking about, when the economy actually transforms into non-trading infrastructure. Non-trading will mean technology, machine generally, will be creating wealth in society. When they create this wealth, and they will in the future, then goods and services will be produced at no extra cost. That will be the end of the economic age, because the economy as an infrastructure is actually made logical when there is trade. You cannot trade if you don't sell or buy. And you cannot sell or buy if there is no need to sell or buy. You don't need money, because there is no cost to production of goods and services. That is a good thing, and it's a good prospect, and I predict that that will be the future. But for now, we are heading toward that, with technology on the increase, nanotechnology, 3D printers, all these things I've been talking about, repeating them, robotics, artificial intelligence, and many, many more. These will actually be on the increase. We live in exciting times on the developmental front, and also on the cultural front. We need to pay attention on education. Education should replace the law in the long term, so that we produce a community or a society of peaceful coexistence, and also to produce happiness. Therefore, for the meantime, when we are actually working our ways towards when technology takes over and producing unlimited wealth, we now talk of limited resources, but with technology, the sky is the limit. Because that is the power of technology. If you actually interface technology with nature, with the earth, it produces good credentials, credentially good, environmentally effective goods and services, clean economy, clean productivity. All these things are to be expected. They are coming. They will happen. It may take long. It may take decades, hundreds or even thousands of years to materialize into a perfected a mode of developmental economy or developmental estate, which is what we need, which is what we want. On the one hand, in terms of progress, like I said previously, and let's say it again, we then begin to focus on our behavior as individuals, how we value humanity, how we respect ourselves. This is actually the product of education. Teaching ourselves, teaching our children, teaching our attitude, our mentality. Nothing to do with wealth, except the wealth of knowledge of what is right and how to live peacefully, how to live respectfully. These are the ideals, the situation which we need to understand to kind of produce a template to underpinning our progress. I have actually discussed this very usefully, and I'm so happy I did that. And but it is a work in progress, and a lot of people have been contacting me to thank me, to criticize me a little, or I get, because most of them are my friends, most of them are my family, and that's where we begin. We begin with where we know and proceed to where we don't know other people. They still appreciate us for our contribution. We started this channel in 2012. We started actually working on it in 2022 in December, and we are 1 year in practice. Just slightly over 1 year in practice. So we should impress ourselves by actually, existing for more than a year now. And you're welcome to join the family, be an ambassador. If you're a YouTuber, especially if you're a bigger YouTuber and you like my channel, give me a shout out. Even if you don't know me, just listening to this, just give me a shout out, support me so that my channel can grow, and so that I can do more with this project. And thank you so much. And let us carry on with the discourse. I have actually said it in the other videos. I am repeating it here. That when I talk about the cost of living crisis, I'm just talking about more. I'm talking about everything, about everything which matters to our life. So it is a great opportunity to look at factors such as the cost of living, and some people may be offended that you only talk about the cost of living. Of course, I'm talking about the cost of living, and I'm entitled to do that. But not only that, if you watch the video, you will find that I'm also talking about linking the cost of living with other factors, which is very convenient and very, very useful. A lot of people who actually watch my video without judging it prejudicially actually give me a lot of credit and positivity, but I don't take anything for granted. We are not complacent. I take this opportunity on a daily basis to learn something new every day, such as using this approach as I am doing now. I will now depart slightly from here and begin to talk about the money, the financial support given in the United Kingdom. And I will do so on this because this is quicker, because this is new. I'm not going to complicate so many things so quickly. It's experimental to a point. Leave a comment below, leave a feedback. This is the first time I'm actually talking specifically about help in the United Kingdom by using a voice recording, by also depending on the template I will create afterward. Thank you so much. Welcome to a wonderful Friday evening here in the UK. We are in the we are just in the middle of the evening time, and you are so warmly welcome to my space. And also leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. As always, support my project as always, and make the best use of it as always. And if you cannot get everything from here you need, use this platform as actually pointer to what other help you might get. These are help from the UK. The way it sounds is actually for the people living in the United Kingdom. United Kingdom is composed of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So you're welcome to the United Kingdom. And also the experience of support given to people who need it in the United Kingdom. I actually said a bit on that before, and I keep saying it over and again. There is something I've also been talking about in terms of help, financial support, which is given by the government. It's part of the welfare state. It's part of the public sector. It is part of the idea of intervening in the economy to support people who need support. Things are changing, like I said, but try your best if you live in the United Kingdom to get help anyway, because it's getting harder and harder to get help because of the changes the government is making, the way it provides this help, because of ideology, because of politics, because of the way society behaves. I would be the first to say the system of financial help by the government could be improved. And one of the things the government could do to improve the system of financial support to people who need help is to increase the level to the equivalence of 30 or even 20 pounds an hour, uh, comparable to people who work for a living, comparable to the payment of national living or minimum wage, which is actually the minimum or the kind of like calculation the government might or might consider adequate. But I have said to the government, to the British government, that the primary objective of any support, whether from employment, self-employment, whether from financial support, from like benefit, is the aim. The primary aim is supposed to get the British people out of poverty immediately, because Britain is the sixth richest country in the world. Nobody in the UK should be poor, not even one person. And this is possible if the British government work with within the country with all the other political parties within the United Kingdom, within Europe, America, and across the globe. This can be done within 10 years, 50 years, 100 years. Nobody in the world should be poor in a modern world where we are accessing technology, whether there is so much wealth. It is evil, to say it lightly. It is a very evil thing, whether we know, we realize it or not. We allow a single person, especially in Africa, we allow one person to remain rich, poor in a rich world. It is a very dangerous commentary. It's a very, very pessimistic, painting of the face of the earth. If we allow this thing to do, we have to step back and examine our humanity, especially if we are in power, if we are responsible for running the countries of the world, and in the UK. That's why when I talk about the UK, and be sensible to yourself and to other people, you are a member of the global community. Pay attention to what is happening in the United Kingdom. If you are an individual, if you are a family or a community, if you think what the UK is doing to help people with money is a sensible thing, especially now when there is so much wealth, and also at the same time there's so much poverty when there is wealth, which is a totally bizarre state of affairs. If you think this is actually what Britain is, and the developed world is doing to help people with money, with other form of benefits, talk to your MP, member of parliament in Africa, in parts of the world, South America, or other parts of the world where, in Asia, where there is still a lot of poverty, in the Middle East. Talk to your leaders. See, we want what the United Kingdom is doing for their people. This is what they are doing. So be an expert on the help given if you're in Africa, especially in Africa. There is no reason why there should be. In fact, the only country where there should be benefit is Africa. Even more benefit than we have in the United Kingdom, because the level of poverty there is really appalling. Agriculture and other form of development should be taken to Africa, and multimillionaires, multipillionaires with governments of the world should start supporting communities in Africa with agricultural machinery for them to grow their own food, because they still have land. The government should be supported to support landowners in Africa, to develop their land. And this is something going forward. We are from Africa, leave a comment below. And prospectively as my channel grows, and also, well, you're welcome to be an advocate. As our channel grow, we should talk more and more about what is happening in South America, in parts of Asia, in Africa generally, most of all Africa, where there is so much poverty. The government should be continuing to help until technology takes over running the global economy, where there will be limitless wealth and resources. Because you see, technology will even use nature in such a way that nature can be utilized so efficiently that it can produce almost anything we need indefinitely, infinitely. This is a good prospect. And I see this happening. If you are familiar with technological progress, leave a comment below. Let us come back to looking at the United Kingdom. And I have been looking at something called universal credit. This is actually money given by the government to the British people. You watch this video, watch with the rest of the video. And also continue watching, subscribe to my channel, and share with family and friends. Remember to watch the rest of the video because they are connected if you have time. If not, visit gov.uk, which is the government website in the United Kingdom, and all the other charities which are actually in the United Kingdom. I have mentioned them in the other videos. And you can access this website anywhere in the world. If you are in Africa, where you are elsewhere, you find a lot of information in the kind of support given by a standard government. What happened in the United Kingdom is standard across the developed world, but it should also be trickling down to Africa. I know in Britain we are trying to deport legal immigrants to Rwanda and places like that. So in the future, I also predict that people who are actually poor, who are British, who are actually American, who are in the developed world will be deported to poor areas like Africa. We are now deporting illegal immigrants. In future, we will start deporting citizens of the developed world to send them to Africa to access maybe opportunities, the way we are actually sending illegal immigrants to access livelihood in Africa. That may or may not be a good thing, but Africa may be a place to be. I mean, the world is enough. Whether in Asia, whether in Africa, whether in Europe, the world is enough. We just have to change our attitude to peace. Because you see, if we practice violence, we get violence. If we practice peace, we get peace, and we achieve happiness. I have been repeating this over and over, and I am really grateful to myself and to people who are actually watching to actually listen to this, because I've been repeating them. I will be repeating them again because they are so important. This our life, we only live once. I've already said it in the other video that there's a prospect with technology, even for technicians using technology and techniques to even bring back life. These sound like science fiction, so be it. It is still science fiction, but it is actually prospectively a reality in the future. People who die today will be able, I mean, there will be possibility to bring them back to life. I mean, that is really good. We are not playing God, but it's good. I'm a Christian actually. I respect God. I also know from my scripture, if you read your Bible, if you're a Christian, read your Bible. God has given us permission to be creators, because God created us in His own image. So creating us in His own image means that we are actually creators. See, bringing life, dead people back to life is a form of medicine. I mean, God is a healer. I know there are Christians out there, fellow Christians, or even Muslims, people who believe in God, or even Judaists, in the Jewish communities who believe in God. They may turn around and say, "Oh, you are playing God." Yes, I can play God if I want, because God created me and allowed me to be a creator. I can actually, with technology and science, God I mean, the Bible says God will bless the work of your hand. I mean, which part of scripture don't you understand? God will bless the work of your hand. If we are technicians, God will bless the work of our hand. If we are actually invented something which can bring people, regenerate life, in theological sense, we call it resurrection. In scientific, we call it regeneration. People who die are brought back to life. So God will bless the work of our hands and will, they will compliment us, good and faithful servant. Well done. You are now able to bring back the dead. I mean, if he allows us, we could even be able to create humans. I mean, if technology can do that, so be it. My understanding now that scientists are now creating artificial wombs. So inception can now take place outside the womb of a woman. That is, there's a rudimentary information I have, but it's not. Do your research. Are we doing research now? Are we in the process of creating wombs where I know fetuses can now grow inside wombs, artificial wombs? I mean, why should a woman undergo pain at birth to risk even their life? These are things we should embrace as modern mankind, as as people of faith in God, and as scientists, as people who don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, that is your business. I'm not preaching to anyone, but I'm not a preacher. And although I'm a Christian, but my message is to Christians and to non-Christians. If you believe in God, if you don't, science is actually all encompassing. But you see, there is also something else we can do as humans. We can have good attitude. We don't behave like this. We are gods. I mean, whether you believe in God or not, if you're a scientist, you need to understand peace. You need to respect yourself as a scientist. You don't create things which destroy life. Are you mad? Of course you're not. You're a scientist. You are a technocrat. You understand technology. You use this thing for peaceful purposes. And this is what I will be talking about. And I'm glad you came. I'm glad you're watching me. Let us come back to looking at universal credit. If you are actually watching this video, type universal credit in the United Kingdom. It's a form of benefit. If you don't know what benefit is, type benefit in the United Kingdom. It's money. Money given to people who are on low income, who work for a living, who don't work for a living, who may be sick or may be healthy, who may have or may not have children. Money also paid to children, but not to pensioners or pensionable age. If you reach a certain, state pensionable age, you don't get universal credit because you get another type of benefit. That is another topic for another day. Because my opinion is that we could actually reform the benefit system into a single benefit for children, for adults, and for the elderly in the first place. And all the other, if you've been watching the video on universal credit, that's why I'm actually have the freedom of talking outside the topic of universal credit, of the topic of money given to British people, because I already recorded a lot of material on it. I've already pointed you to the internet. You can go there and read about it. But thank you for coming here. Now, when we spoke about universal credit the last time, one of the things, the last topic we discussed actually, something called sanction. If you understand English or if you don't, just type the word sanction. Play with the spelling until you get the right meaning. What it means actually, you are being punished for something wrong you did. So sanction in terms of benefit. When you are punished, if you do the wrong thing, it means there are rules. It means you broke the rule. Because you broke the rule, then you are being punished. Every time you break any rules, if you have children, if you have authorities, the police, prison, whoever they are. When you break the rule, you are an offender. You have committed an offense. I am your child. Your parents set the rule. If you break this rule, then you are an offender. You see, that is what happened with the rule. There are rules everywhere. So benefit also has its rules. If you break the rule of benefit, then you are sanctioned. Sanction means punishment. Punishment happens to those who are actually breaking the rules. If there were no rules, nobody was going to be punished. If there was no rules, if even your parents, when they punish you, it means they have already set the rules at home. Do this A, B, C, D. Don't do A, B, C, D. Now, if you break something, if you do something you should not do, you are broken the rule. If you don't do something you are supposed to do, you are broken the rule by commission or by omission. And so you can apply this concept while talking about benefit. When we talk about benefit sanction, it means there were rules. You were supposed to comply with these rules, but you did not. And there were also rules asking you not to do certain things, but you did certain things. Then you get a sanction. So you get benefit sanction on universal credit. But this will not affect your payments if this sanction are ended while you are not claiming universal credit. That means if the sanction happened when you are not, it may have happened when you are actually claiming universal credit. But sometimes, if you watch the rest of the video, sometimes universal credit stops depending on the changes in your circumstances. One of the things I said about universal credit was that it is means tested. That also means, because it is means tested, if you have certain level of money in your bank account, or if you work and you earn a certain level of money, or if somebody gives you some money, or if they are giving you it regularly, or a lump sum, you actually produce a level of income or saving, which actually disqualifies you from getting eligibility and entitlement for universal credit. Because they are means tested. You have the means to livelihood, therefore you don't get it. You are tested by your means to livelihood. And your means to livelihood is actually evidenced by the level of income you get regularly from work or from anywhere else, and also the level of saving or investment. These are actually the benefit rules, which if actually you meet the such criteria, then you will either get or not get universal credit. It's means tested. So, if for some reason your level of investment or income increases above a certain threshold, we have already discussed this in the other videos, or you can read about it or online. If this happens, then you actually your universal credit stop. That your circumstances will lead to your circumstances, your financial and or including income and investment circumstance changing will also affect your situation with universal credit. You either get more or get less or get nothing. These are changes. But if you stop getting it, it means you're not going to get benefit. And if you are, before your universal credit is stopped, or even wherever, when you actually are affected by sanction, if your sanction actually, because your sanction can last for, I think, 3 months or 6 months, depends. Let's say for 3 months, and it ended when you are not claiming universal credit, then the will not affect your payments. The sanction won't affect your payments because you would have ended while you were not claiming universal credit. So your payment will be reduced if you start getting universal credit again before the date of your sanction or was due to end. Now, when you come back to universal credit because your circumstances might have changed, because you're getting less money, you have less saving, you go back and apply to universal credit within the rules. I've already discussed the rule, and you start getting it again. But now, you, I mean, if you start getting this universal credit before your sanction was due to end, it will affect your payment. Your payment will be reduced because of the sanction. The sanction actually reduces your universal credit because the sanction is on your universal credit. It's a government policy, which I have already said. The sanction is a really very bizarre kind of policy. I mean, if you do something wrong, should you be strangled to death by the government? Should the government turn into a hangman or a hangwoman? Because if you take away what is very little already, people who are so poor, they don't even, if you take even 10 pounds, they may even starve to death. They are so poor. The government still, I don't know which planet the government comes from, who advises the government. The government policy, some of the policy come from the government, is like they are on drugs. They're drunk. If they are drunk, then they are drunk because of ignorance. Because they don't understand poverty at all. They're clueless. It is not an. It is an. I mean, it's no accident because most of these politicians are multimillionaires, and they are multimillionaires and multimillionaire friends. The cycle they live in, the kind of environment they live in is totally different from, because this is a class system. Poverty is produced by the system of class. There are people who have no clue what poverty looks like. And they're the ones responsible for creating policies. The kind of policy created, like benefit sanction, is so nonsensical that they should actually stop immediately. I don't know who can speak to the government because, I mean, the moment they are elected, they go and lock themselves at Westminster. And we can't even talk to the members of parliament. I never said this before, I'm saying it again. That, members of parliament should have extended funding and offices and resources to connect with constituents so that people who are actually facing situation of poverty, of homelessness, of health problem, dentistry problem, and people who cannot take their children to school, children are going hungry in a country like Britain. The government has no shame at all. How can a British child go without food? They are starving in school because the government doesn't understand the idea that some people can be so poor. But poverty is also to do with failing to manage what is little. So it's something leading to debt, indebtedness. Going forward, I will probably talk about the indebtedness, which is actually a critical situation. The government has its work cut out if you are a politician. When I talk about the government, I mean politicians who create policies. I'm not talking about people, the Department of Work and Pension, which is a civil service department. These are civil servants who are responsible for carrying out government policy. When I actually talk about the government, I'm not talking about civil servants. I'm not talking about the civil service in the UK. I'm talking about politicians and their advisors who create these policies. Benefit sanctions should be scrapped immediately. In fact, universal credit should also be scrapped. If it is not scrapped, then it has to be extensively reformed. Whether we reform the benefit system or not, the level of benefit must go up by at least £20 an hour as an equivalent to people who work for a living. Benefits should be treated the same way as salary for those who work. And I will also be talking about employment, because employment, there is a lot of major problem with employment policy. And I'll be doing a study on that going forward, maybe next year. Because when we talk about universal credit, we are actually focusing on income. I said at the outset that the cost of living crisis is income related. So benefit is a very important component of income for those who actually are on the lower and the middle class of society. People who ordinarily work for a living. In the middle class, especially the upper middle class, where people are more professional, more technocratic, they are earning a bit more, maybe 50,000, maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000. But my message has been, if you still face a situation where you have to borrow money to buy your home, then you're most likely than not to be poor, even if you are actually an upper middle class. If you are not a multimillionaire, in short, if you cannot pay for your home outright, then think again. Because the way experts seem to define poverty is also is poorly advised, because they don't know. They don't. I mean, these experts are multimillionaires and multimillionaires, most of them. Especially the one who lead this kind of research, who actually administer them. These are people who are without any clue about what poverty is. They should talk to people on the ground, people who are actually the victim of poverty in the United Kingdom. In a country area, you will find that almost 90% of the population are poor, directly or indirectly. Because if you cannot actually buy a house, and universal credit does not pay mortgage, mortgage is actually a credit borrowed from creditors known as mortgage lenders. These are actually money borrowed to buy a home. This is a very dangerous thing for households, and the British people should know this. The government should build houses for the British people, and they should not pay rent, or the property should be given freely, permanently, because the British people do not have land. They are unlikely to access land anytime soon, especially given that we need to manage the land in the interest of environmental protection. The way we do agriculture, the way we actually build houses, property, the way we do development will not permit everybody to participate effectively in the economy, accessing land to produce goods and services, including housing, including building homes for themselves. Even if in the building of homes, the government needs to provide training for individuals, for family, and for communities. For these, as individual or as groups, to build their own homes. This needs to be done so that planning permission can be actually modified and created for people to build their own home, to grow their own food. Therefore, the government should up policy now going forward, especially now that there is privatization everywhere. The public sector is closing down. Before the government closes it down entirely, the government should actually take land from wherever land is and allocate at least 1 acre to every citizen of the British of a British citizen or British resident. Own this land permanently, allocate it for free, and provide the money to build houses for free. And don't charge council tax. If people are actually earning less than at least 50% and below, they should not pay council tax at all. Because council tax is a very ridiculous type of taxation. Council tax now even taxes people who are on universal credit. Now, if your benefit is sanctioned, are you going to pay for a council tax? And the government, most local authorities are no longer paying council tax fully. They don't even know. There is something called council tax benefit or council tax support. For some reason known only to the British government, especially local government, where they don't pay the full council tax. Why? There should be no council tax. The government should not at any one point charge people who are on benefit. Because, see, people who are on benefit are already suffering. They are already suffering failure in society not to create decent jobs. The government may actually say there are employment. But you see, the British people are people of dignity. They want work. They don't want to be on benefit. This is a message the government need to put in its head, if it still has any head left. Because you see, too much education in high-level universities and dealing with high-level issues or policy can be very blinding sometimes. Size that these politicians, the way they behave, excessive, they have lost touch totally. Things which are actually common sense. The British people do not want to be in benefit. They need their the benefit system is an insult. Employment is insulting enough. Employment, going to work for somebody else is insulting enough. You need to understand employment is not good. Self-employment is good. Employment is not. Because you're working for somebody else, you should be working for yourself. You should be proud of yourself. You should be growing your own food. I don't mind going to the supermarket if I have money. If I don't have money, I should grow my own food. I should not actually rely on benefits. If I'm sick, I should go to a community or a family-based hospital, which is what changes the government should now do. Because the changes are now happening where the public health sector is closing down totally. It will only be left for people who have money. And people who have money are actually maybe only 10% of the population. It's getting even fewer. As we go forward, the rich are getting richer. The poor are getting poorer. Maybe it's going to go from 10%, 5%, 2%. And very, very few people will actually concentrate wealth into their hands, such that they're the only one who will access food, energy, and medicine. This may or may not be good, but with technology, like I said, in the future, things may change. Everybody will be accessing resources. That's if we learn to live peacefully. But if we have technology and we are still not understanding our culture, we are not really valuing our lives. We are not valuing the life of our fellow humans. We are going to turn wealth created by technology into weapons of mass destruction, such that instead of wealth liberating us from poverty and also supporting our lives to live on the earth, technology is going to wipe us off the surface of the earth if we turn it into weapons, especially nanotechnology and also artificial intelligence and robots. Imagine robots marching on the street drunk on virus, computer virus, looking for humans to destroy. How long are you going to last if it has the intelligence of human and the strength of a lion or a crocodile or a wolf or as vicious as a wolf? How long is a human being going to last on the earth? We are going to go extinct. So we need to really approach these issues constructively, beginning now. And this is an opportunity, this channel is an opportunity to produce the voice. Because you see, if we fail, if we lose sight of the value of humanity, then we are irrelevant. And I've been saying this, I will be saying it over and over and over, until my voice, those are on the sound of my voice, will begin to understand the value of livelihood, the value of humanity. And I'm so excited to talk about this. And so, going forward, we, as the people, we need to really talk to our government and give us benefit. And don't stop abusing us. Stop abusing the British people. It is not necessary that people should be on benefit in a country like Britain. We should actually have access to wealth directly or indirectly. And it is not going to happen through employment, because employment is evil. What is right for the British people is self-employment. Every British should have right to have a business, to grow their own food, to access their own technology. As families, as communities, to get this wealth from the state when the state is still open. Because we are seeing the closing down of the state. We are seeing now the excluding of the British people, the people of the world. And we should begin the process of changing. We should, because employment is shutting down anyway. Small and medium businesses are shutting down anyway. Big corporations will shut down anyway. Because you see, now that we have marketized everything, what if you don't have money? How are you going to access food? How are you going to access energy? How are you going to access medicine, housing, healthcare, dentistry, even prison? If you are taken to prison, you have to pay for it. Nothing is free because you see, you have to really have money to go to prison. Otherwise, you will suffer in even a worse way. And this is coming. If you don't have money to pay for services, like medical support, medical service, security service, emergency service. What are you going to do when you talk about technology? And it depends. It's because the balance is really very narrow. The margin is so narrow, and technology, when it comes, we need to really teach technology how to be peaceful. If we give power to the machine goes mad on us. Nobody's going to finish us. Viruses from nanotechnology, they will take control of our lives. Machine will be ruling over us. We, humanity, have been ruling over other humans. We say to them, please don't rule over one another. And we have insisted on being rulers over one another. We humans, we the people, have been insisting on ruling over another. You have promoted violence. You have actually used violence to produce havoc. And now you're introducing the machine to run society when society is learning violence. You are going to teach this machine to be violent, and you will see the level of behavior, the wrath, the danger, how dangerous the machine is going to be. You see, you teach machine how to be violent. You will see how efficient they are going to be killers. But if you teach them peace, you will be so happy. So we need to do development today. At the same time as doing development today, we must now begin to learn what it means to live peacefully. I am now, therefore, talking about peace. Benefit is a form of violence. Employment is a form of violence. Self-employment is a form of liberty. Every British citizen should be self-employed. They should learn the craft of society, of work, of social interaction, social enterprising, of doing different things, of doing medicine, of doing technology itself, within family, within society. As self-employed, as bosses, we work for our destiny. We don't just work to create wealth for the few who have now turned into our, as it is, horrible masters. And in their doing, they have now pushed the horse on the edge. We, as a species, face extinction. We need to identify this problem now using this platform. I believe in humanity. If we make decisions to bring changes, go from a state of violence, the method of violence should change, transforming from method of violence and of destruction to one of peace. We willfully follow the wrong path. We willfully, go on the way of destruction. We are actually manufacturing dangers. We, humanity, are turning into monsters by willful instigation. We make decisions to be wrong, to be evil, to do bad things. It is also our opportunity For those listening to this and for those not listening to this, it's our opportunity now to turn it around. If we can do one thing, we can do another thing. If we can do violence, if we can do naughty things, we can stop and start doing the right thing. We have the power, we have the capacity to know what is wrong and what is right, and that is good. Because we also have the capacity to choose. We have the minds to think. We have the will to empower our actions, our mindset, our behavior, our attitude. We can do what we've set out to do. We shall do the right thing. We are good to go. And as I begin to talk about the cost of living crisis, as I continue to talk about benefit, as I continue to talk about universal credit, which is money given in the United Kingdom, I will actually illustrate to speak about things like benefit sanction. And you begin to ask yourself, why should the government actually sanction benefit of somebody who is so poor, who is so humiliated by benefit? I mean, benefit should never have been given to anybody. Employment should have never been given to anybody. Self-employment should have been given to every British, every person living in the world should be self-employed, their own bosses. And that should be the economic and political argument, beginning now with the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, the Conservative, the Liberal Democrats, all the political parties should be talking about self-employment. And that also means the government, before closing down, you can't just close down the government when all the wealth is being now given to the super rich. You cannot give back an empty country to poor people who are the majority. Where are they going to go? Before you shut down the state, make sure you actually give land to family and to communities to own, to grow their own food, to produce their own energy, to access technology, to build their own school, research facilities. The world is enough. The government should support individuals now, beginning small and medium businesses, moving away from benefit, moving away from employment to self-employment. We need more, not less, small and medium businesses, which is family-based. Every family should have a business. If I grow carrots, I can go to the next family and give my carrot to my next family. And my next family will give me potatoes. Because I haven't grown potatoes, I have grown carrot. Maybe I actually have some pig. And you have goats. We go to a community center and exchange it with or without money. It is our choice. And this is the vision, this is the British society we need to build. Healthy food. You know, if we are using chemical, we should know what chemical we are using onto our food. We are not going to sit here and allow some greedy entrepreneur or investor to serve us on something we don't even know what for, because they are just psychopaths who are so greedy. All they think about is money. They are so morally bankrupt. I'm not saying that poor people are good, but at least poor people are better because they suffer. I mean, if you suffer the way poor people suffer in the world, you are a kinder person. I mean, people who are actually at the lap of wealth and power, they get drunk. You see, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, because we, the poor, and you, we, the rich, all of us, we are actually humans. We need to learn respect for self. We have to learn respect for other people. We need to turn back from being wild animals to becoming humans. Which, if you see what happened in our society now, on our streets, on behind the offices, the stories now being, produced. It's like, are we humans or we are wild animals? What's the difference? Some people are now suffering. I mean, some people are now struggling to distinguish between humans and animals. We are more than that. We are better than that. We are humans. And, we have the last say. We have to come back to our senses and turn around and become humans. Make demands on the government because we have the right As soon as we become respectful, we respect ourselves, we respect the authorities, we respect our parents, we respect our siblings, our friends, our family. We are humans. We have the power to do this, to bring this change, so that we begin to bring changes. We have to ask the government to do what we elect them to do. Make us our own bosses. We don't want to work for anyone anymore. Any more than the government really is shutting down. Because now we don't get paid properly. We are suffering from something called flexible work, which actually wrong employers are increasingly exploiting the concept of flexible work to abuse employees. And the government seems to be supporting them by bad employment laws. Bad employment law in the sense that he promote actually he give loopholes, he open doors for social injustice. It's a form of violence. And if you're on our side, if you're on the side of humanity, say yes, you need to come on the law. And because I spoke, and I will continue speaking, whether with or without YouTube, I will be finding a way to speak on this truth. It's not like I am actually an expert on truth, but every human species know the truth. They are supposed to know what is true. What is true is us. We are the truth. We are humans. And if you look around, you go to the library, some people go to universities to do research to find out what the truth is. Are you crazy? You are the truth. You are human. If you are not human, then you are a different kind of truth. That is not the truth I'm talking about. I'm talking about fellow humans. We are the truth. And we are here to survive by doing what is right. And do not ask me what is right. You know it because you are the truth. You are true. You are human. And so we know what is right. And so we know what is right, wrong. And therefore, we can access learning platforms at home, in the community, in society, on the streets, in parks, in libraries. But what we need to learn before even we begin to train our minds is our attitude. Our attitude determines our altitude. Our attitude is humanitarian. We are people. We value ourselves first. So I'm going to stop this here. Thank you so much for watching this video this far. Consider yourself more even than a champion. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment below. Share with family and friends. Let us carry on with the good work. And we are winners. If you watch up to this stage, you are a winner. One way or the other. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Good evening. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okun, and I've been speaking on this material for close to over a year. I've been talking about the cost of living crisis. Those who have been watching my channel now should be familiar with my program, which is not exclusively talking about the cost of living crisis. It is also talking about other topics. But right now, I'll be in a position only to concentrate predominantly on the